Hey there guys, this is Richard, your host, with another marvelous video. For an aerial bot, Silverbolt is the epitome of chivalry. In fact, his entire journey as a fusor is steered by an overdeveloped sense of morals. He set high standards of honor, bravado, and courage that even left his fellow Maximals perplexed. His character in Beast Wars exemplified all forms of heroics, making even Optimus Primal roll his eyes at his speeches of lofty platitudes of chivalry and idealized heroism. His fellow Autobots even start suspecting a glitch in his programming, which results in such great length of nobility. The name Silverbolt was first used for the acrophobic leader of the aerial bots, but the new Silverbolt at Beast Wars appeared as a bird dog flying through the skies. As his beast mode is that of a canine, Silverbolt sees the world in shades of black and white, the only grey area being Black Arachnia, the evil Predacon who had managed to con her way into his metallic heart, making him falter from his path paved of his noble preconceived notions dealing in right and wrong. Silverbolt was first introduced in a toy line, transforming him into a bald eagle where he came packaged with a lion named Prowl and an elephant named Ironhide. The trio merged to become Magnaboss, but never made it to being starred in a story arc. When Beast Wars introduced fusors into the franchise, Silverbolt finally made an appearance as a combination of a wolf and an eagle. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. In the Covenant of the Primus, Silverbolt first appeared during the Age of Wrath within the Well of All Sparks, and indefinitely met his foreboding demise. First, the Cybertronians were enraptured by the Quintessence when they claimed to bequeath the presence of the transformation cog on the Cybertronian population, raising them to a higher stature of existence. Originally, T-Cog was only a comatose fragment of the Cybertronian dissection placed by the Primes for it to be discovered in its own time by the Cybertronians. Sentinel Zeta Prime mapped a definite, detailed, and intricate plan to rally the Cybertronian population toward a revolution when his council finally recognized the numerous deceptions being orchestrated by the Quintessence. Just when Silverbolt made his way to the very surface of the well, the Wreckers decided to seize control of it. The newborn Silverbolt was being thoroughly examined by Cogwheel and Dr. Ratchet whilst carrying a scientific demonstration to T-Cog on a live broadcast. T-Cog, who has been present right from Silverbolt's birth, witnessed the bot dramatically prove their entire theorem when he transformed into a flying alt form. That too in the beginning of the rebellion against the rule of the Quintessence. In the Transformers Retribution, when the arc above Aquatron was caught up by the Nemesis, Silverbolt, along with his slingshot, skydive, air raid, and fireflight, his fellow aerial bots took part in the initial counterattack. They all merged to become Superion and made their way to the area of Hangar, crashing through the bridge so they could wreck all the enemy engines. But unfortunately, these aerial bots had to disengage when they were being attacked by Megatron, before they could even complete their entire mission as they were fatally injured in the process. Nonetheless, the entire crew of aerial bots had already recovered and were back on their own within the time Arc buzzed the entire Quintessence city of Hydraton, using the newly prepared sideswipe so they could rescue Optimus Prime and everyone else from their crew. The Superion together became a very powerful ally against the hordes of Sharkticon, providing a strong cover as the Arc had descended upon Hydraton. The Decepticons and the Autobots formed a rather weak-knot alliance against the evil Quintessence, resulting in a damaged Nemesis being towed back to orbit by the Arc. The necessary boost needed to clamp the ships to become airborne was also provided by the Superion.
Bots, transform into Superion!
Silverbolt in the animated Transformers series. In the Transformers animated series, Silverbolt was specifically defined by his extreme acrophobia and his ardent need to overcome it. In the series, Silverbolt is seen constantly struggling to keep up with his image of bravado as his sole need to hide his fear from the fellow Autobots comes in the way of his determination as a soldier. In the hope that worrying about having the responsibility of other aerial bots, Optimus Prime made him their leader so as to shift his focus to something else rather than fixating on his acrophobia. This decision had truly benefited Silverbolt, as his responsible and matured nature made him an excellent commander for the aerial bots. Silverbot, along with his fellow aerial bots, beheld the capacity to merge into a mega-powerful Superion. In future timelines, Silverbolt also joined forces with veterans from the Great War to form the final Autobot combiner known as the Magnaboss. In Part 1 of the Key to Vector Sigma, the government had given the Autobots a group of tankers carrying a new kind of superfuel, which they collectively escort. The fact that things have been too quiet quiet is making Optimus Prime extremely wary. Prowl assumes that Decepticons are totally alienated from the existence of the superfuel, as they took a good while to launch an attack. The Coneheads were sent by Megatron to launch the attack, but they failed as they could not follow the Primals into the canyons and the tunnels on the road. This compelled Megatron to take matters into his own hands as he decided to completely destroy and dismantle the superfuel all by himself. But this effort is interrupted when he's distracted by Smokescreen, who delivers Megatron to Prowl and Optimus, leading Megatron to escape to save his life. A furious and enraged Megatron decides upon rectifying the entire situation by sending Rumble to steal various card models along with Possum Brown's truck. Megatron uses all of these supplies and alters them using the Decepticon technology, such as automatic force fields and anti-gravity boosters. Rumble was in awe of the stunt driving, which gave Megatron the idea to name it Stunticons as he transforms into robot mode. When Optimus Prime learns about the Decepticons manufacturing brand new soldiers, he's struck with the realization that the Primals will need more cybernetic personalities who will truly survive, irrespective of what comes towards them. Following that, a group of Autobots are taken to Cybertron by Omega Supreme, wherein Shockwave alerts Megatron that the Vector Sigma has been located, but it required a circuit key to be fully activated. The Decepticons find out that the key is being possessed by Alpha Trion, and henceforth pave their way toward his lab. Soundwave gave the key to Megatron post-struggle to locate it. Following the Decepticons' exit from the lab, the Autobots arrive on Cybertron only to find a fatally wounded Alpha Trion, whose life was barely saved by Hoist and Ratchet. Alpha Trion, post his recovery, explained to Optimus Prime of Megatron's evil intentions, further commanding the Autobots to make their way toward Vector Sigma through the tunnels where they're met with Centurion droids, which Megatron realizes could be fully controlled by him using the key, thus ordering them to launch an attack on the Autobots. Megatron activates his supercomputer, breathing life into the Stunticons as he's headed toward Vector Sigma. The Decepticon Autobots together form the Stunticons, who are set to run havoc on Earth as they return back to the planet. Following this, all the Autobots finally reach the Vector Sigma and find out that it had already given life to the Stunticons. Optimus Prime then plans on using a plethora of very ancient rockets, so they could be rebuilt as jets catering to Earth styles, so as to battle the Decepticons in the air, with which the episode ends with a cliffhanger. Following this, in the second part of the key to Vector Sigma, the Autobots are done with redesigning the age-old drone rockets into normal Earth-style planes on the grounds of Cybertron, but cannot activate it without the main key to Vector Sigma, as it lies in Megatron's possession. Alpha Trion helps by morphing his life with the supercomputer, giving life to the new aerial bots, which leads to the introduction of Silverbot in the plot along with Air Raid, Fireflight, Slingshot, and Skydive. Before the aerial bots and Autobots leave, Alpha Trion warns them about the key to Vector Sigma having completely different and volatile properties on Earth, which could lead to the destruction of the entire planet, which Shockwave overhears and alerts Megatron of the key's repercussions on Earth, who pulls the Stunticons back to base and keeps running tests on the key. On the other hand, the humans think that they're being attacked by the Autobots and open fire at them. Back at the base, when Soundwave drops the key, it releases its energy, causing the ground to transform into metal, which unravels that the key holds the power to turn any organic matter into metal other than giving life to machines. This gave Megatron the idea to convert Earth into Cybertron. While this unfolded, Optimus Prime makes Silverbolt the leader of the aerial bots so he could challenge his fear of heights. Silverbolt tries to manage the aerial bots who fight amongst themselves for leadership as the Decepticons head towards Seattle, along with the energy of the key, whose emissions were detected by Teletron 1. Meanwhile, Silverbolt makes an effort to persuade the aerial bots to go back to the base by arguing that since they're the best, they ought to run the facility. He demonstrates to them how terrible they are by showing how the Decepticons will destroy them, by letting them see Sparkplug continuing to work on Omega. While Ratchet goes to recharge, he also demonstrates the compassion of humans. Once persuaded, the aerial bots depart. When Optimus Prime is about to be crushed to death by the Stunticons near Seattle, the aerial bots fly in and save the Autobot leader. By instructing the Stunticons and aerial bots to form Menasor and Superion respectively, Megatron and Optimus play their final cards. Later, when the Decepticons retreat with the key, Silverbolt waltzes in to take the key from Megatron and destroys it. In the aerial assault episode, the aerial bots are seeking information about a group that is stealing planes in an unnamed Middle Eastern nation and receive a distress call after flying over a bazaar where a suspicious-looking man is loading equipment in a familiar Jeep. They are attacked as they enter a canyon by the Combaticons and Dirge, and Slingshot is ultimately buried by Blastoff inside a cave. The Decepticons are expelled, though, when Optimus Prime, Jazz, Ratchet, and Hoist show up. The Autobots uncover Slingshot and head back to a nearby airbase to get fixed. The plane kidnappers escape security by using laundry trucks to transport their stolen aircraft, but a young boy named Hassan is pursuing them. When he meets them, he immediately recognizes the person in charge of this operation as Ali, before getting into the truck that is transporting the aerial bots' nose cones. The aerial bots cause themselves to short-circuit, freeing their parts for reassembling as the convoy approaches the palace, and the Decepticons start putting the planes back together. Hassan succeeds in stealing Slingshot's chest plate, but they manage to capture everything else. Skydive and Slingshot are able to get in touch with the other aerial bots, who arrive to assist as the Decepticons get ready to mobilize. Blastoff, Vortex, and Ramjet take charge of the drone forces as the aerial bots and Silverbolt arrive. Onslaught decides to kill the drones and their commanders himself, after the aerial bots successfully eliminate them, but Slingshot intervenes to stop him. Since Fireflight's absence prevents his own team from merging into Superion, Slingshot attempts to stop the merger. Hassan intervenes by freeing them with a weapon console from Slingshot and attacks Bruticus. When Fireflight shows up, the aerial bots create Superion and harm the fortress, causing it to crash into an oil field. The diving Bruticus falls into the oil field as a result of Superion splitting into his aerial bot parts. The Decepticons were then forced to flee after the aerial bots set the field on fire. In the War Dawn episode, the aerial bots chase after Skywarp, Starscream, and Thundercracker as they fly through the air at breakneck speeds, as they had abducted humans who were later saved by the Primals. To the chagrin of the other Autobots, the aerial bots discuss their fondness of the Seekers back at Autobot headquarters. Before the argument can get out of hand, Teletron 1 interrupts and warns Optimus Prime about odd energy readings coming straight from Cybertron as they hop on the Omega Supreme and fly into space to conduct their investigation. When the Autobots arrive on a grimy and dark Cybertron, the Starscream launches an attack at them and takes them straight to Megatron's chronosphere after earning their trust, which makes it too late for Silverbolt to alert them about a trap. On the other hand, to send them back to the onset of time, Megatron turns on a device leading the aerial bots to vanish after being enclosed in a purple bubble. A short while later, Optimus Prime and the other Autobots attack by smashing through the building's wall. As the Decepticons flee, Optimus issues a repair order for the machine and calculates that it sent the aerial bots to Cybertron's golden age, which was 9 million years ago. When the purple bubble pops, the 5 planes return to Cybertron, but the planet is not the same as they left it. This Cybertron is lively and vibrant. The aerial bots debate who was to blame for the planet's destruction. Later, they're met with a small bot by the name of Orion Pax, who claims to unload energy shipments at the docks. Megatron arrives at the energy storehouse and keeps the Decepticons hidden outside the building to attack. Orion shows him around, but later he and his 2 friends are shot mercilessly by Megatron when they attempt to stop him. After the battle, the 3 Autobots are discovered to be inoperative by the aerial bots. Megatron is preparing a counterattack to retake the chronosphere in the present. Shockwave discovers a Guardian robot's body, head missing in nearby debris, and Megatron intends to reactivate it, as Optimus and the Primals are still working toward fixing the machine in the interim. In the past, the aerial bots try to bring a dead Orion back to life and succeed with the help of a stranger. After an unevaluated amount of time, the stranger emerges with a brand new Orion Pax, who is now renamed as Optimus Prime. He, along with the aerial bots, hastily join in on the battle. Later, when the Decepticon side of the battle is about to gain the upper hand, Optimus Prime confronts Megatron and defeats the entire Decepticon front line by himself. By that time, the time machine has been fixed in the present, but Megatron and the Decepticons are still attacking. The aerial bots used energy pack charges to blow up the storehouse in the past to prevent Megatron from getting his hands on the energy. Unfortunately, Decepticon warriors are blocking the exit, so they're confined inside. Slingshot is given the order to blow up the storehouse by Silverbolt. The chronosphere picks them up and transports them back to the present just as the charges start to fire. They destroy the Guardian robot by combining into Superion. An incensed Slingshot yells after Megatron as he flees. Silverbolt recounts their past exploits as they make their way back to Omega Supreme, and Optimus at last recognizes the aerial bots as the group that saved him. In the Cosmic Rust episode, Starscream, Rumble, and Megatron find a planet with the Autobot symbol visible from orbit, while traveling through space in the Astro Train, where they discover a deserted city and a pillar inscribed with the words Ancient Autobot. On their investigation, they are given the option to leave Cybertron or never return by activating a recorded message. Following that, the Decepticons discover a lightning bug despite the warnings and try to move it, but they set it off, destroying the ceiling above them. Meanwhile, the Autobots have produced a weapon that will enable Megatron to eliminate them, and this makes him happy. Astrotrain follows an asteroid as it departs the planet. Look, just go with the flow. And Megatron annihilates it. A bad idea, as the debris pierces Astrotrain and hits Megatron in the shoulder with one piece. Starscream removes the rock and heads for their base when he notices that Megatron's shoulder is covered in rust. On the other hand, Perceptor is receiving recognition in New York City for developing Corostop, a novel remedy that stops corrosion and rust. The Statue of Liberty is the only monument that the Autobots currently have enough to spray with before they have enough to do the rest of the world's monuments. In the meantime, Megatron asks the Stunticons to bring him Perceptor because his health is rapidly declining. The aerial bots pursue the Decepticons as they load Perceptor into Blitzwing and head for Liberty Island. The Coneheads use the lightning bug to chase the Autobot jets away as they pursue the kidnappers all the way to the Decepticon base. Meanwhile, Perceptor is horrified to see Megatron inside their base and covered in rust. The leader of the Decepticons offers Perceptor the chance to put an end to the conflict in exchange for healing him. On the other hand, Megatron is infected with a metallic plague, and the lightning bug is worsening the condition as Perceptor learns from his analysis of the Decepticon. Megatron is given Corostop by Perceptor, which successfully removes the rust, curing all the Decepticons. When Megatron contacts the Autobot leader, the aerial bots are at the Autobot base explaining what happened to Optimus Prime. Megatron warns Prime that he has until noon to get to Perceptor before sunlight shining through his lens sets off a bomb's fuse and destroys him. Prime transports all of the Autobots to Fox Creek Canyon to save Perceptor, despite knowing it's a trap. Perceptor warns the Autobots to stay away as they arrive, but Prime drags Perceptor away when the bomb ignites and explodes, and Perceptor then reveals that he has been infected with cosmic rust. As they make their way back to the base, the Autobots speak with Teletron 1, who informs them of what happened to the world the Decepticons visited, Antilla. The Autobots then discover that cosmic rust has also infected them. Even worse, Megatron is causing the plague to spread by using the lightning bug, but Cosmos and Blaster have found that ingredient X, a crucial component, is missing. Despite Ratchet's best efforts, they're quickly losing strength. Megatron is enjoying every second of it as he watches through Laser Break, only to find out that the matter duplicator has been fixed thanks to some Perceptor-provided percussive maintenance. All they need to replicate is some Corostop from the Statue of Liberty. During all of these happenings, Megatron directs the Stunticons to form Menasor and use the lightning bug to destroy the Statue of Liberty as they make their way there, and under Silverbolt's assistance. Superion is formed by the aerial bots and the Autobots who are already present. Menasor is vanquished by the Autobot Combiner, and the lightning bug is obliterated. Out of ideas, Megatron issues a retreat order. Bumblebee is very happy because they not only saved Lady Liberty, but also themselves. In the Five Faces of Darkness Part 3, the Quintessons set the planet Quintessa ablaze as the Autobots scurry away. Somehow, they manage to escape the planet's destruction, but a piece of debris smashes their ship and sends them hurtling through space. At some point, Ultra Magnus predicts that they will soon collide with a body, but he's unsure if it's a planet or a ship. Rodimus advises him to unwind and take it easy. Meanwhile, Cyclonus informs Galvatron of the most recent events, including the construction of a space platform to protect Earth. In the meantime, Galvatron, intrigued, decides to change course and punish the humans for believing they could construct a defense mechanism against him. When Blur and Wheelie arrive in the solar system of Earth and see Galvatron, they're carrying the transformation cog for Metroplex. Outpost 1 is warned, but Galvatron easily destroys the station before turning his attention to the Autobots, who are forced to abandon ship while escaping to Jupiter and wind up falling into the upper atmosphere. Galvatron fires his cannon at a nearby storm cell to electrically charge it, setting off a violent explosion that destroys Blur and Wheelie's transformation mechanisms and launches them off the planet, leaving the Decepticons to fly off to Char. Earth Defense Command's Marissa Fairborn departs on a rescue mission after a blaster sends a warning to Mars. Following that, the Quintessons are deliberating how to best commemorate the passing of the Autobot leader when they discover Rodimus is still alive. They conclude that their only option is to join forces with the Decepticons, the only group that can be of assistance to them. On the strange planetoid known as Goo, the Autobots crash land. They quickly learn that while they can exit the planet's gum-like surface, they can't enter, even though they're stranded. Cup points out that things could be worse. Unsurprisingly, a huge machine shows up and starts sucking up different types of trash. Rodimus is the next to be caught and dismembered after Springer. Rodimus refuses to give in, allowing the machine to lift him up despite RC and Cup's pleas. He succeeds in clogging the machine's blades with some of the goo, causing it to crash. Deliberata expresses surprise, claiming that the Autobots weren't designed to give their lives for others. The Quintessons on Char approach the Decepticons and offer them Energon. Initially wary, the battered Decepticons quickly pile on Dead End after he samples some Energon and survives. The Quintessons put forth their offer. In exchange for limitless energon, the Decepticons will exterminate the Autobots on their behalf. The Quintessence inform the Decepticons that Rodimus Prime is on Goo with only a small contingent of Autobots to guard him, despite their fears that they can't take Cybertron in their current state. Blitzwing is wary of the Quintessence because he recognizes them, even though the Decepticons are eager to accept the offer. Motormaster chooses to cast a ballot. Although the Yeas have it, Blitzwing chooses to stay on Char. This scenario makes the Quintessence very happy, as they claim that they'll soon be in control of the Decepticons once more. On the other hand, Fairborn discovers metal shards that have been carried all the way to Jupiter's moon, Io, from her ship, and Wheelie and Blur awaken on the surface of the Jovian moon, unaware that they're not alone. When Blitzwing tells Galvatron that the Decepticons left Char after others, it makes him furious, and Galvatron commits to retake his proper position as Decepticon leader. The last part of the episode showcases the Autobots on Goo, who are trying to find a way to turn off whatever machinery is keeping the Goo warm and pliable so they can smash their way out. A fleet of Decepticons emerges from the Quintessence ship and begins firing at the stranded Autobots. Many story arcs are showcasing the instrumental bravado and chivalry of Silverbolt and his fellow aerial bots under his leadership, but these really allow us to take a look at the development of his character. The comic book story arc of Silverbolt. Generally, Silverbolt is a character from the Transformers franchise, which was created by the toy company Hasbro and the entertainment company Paramount Pictures. He is an Autobot and a member of the Aerial Bots, a team of Transformers who can transform into jets. In the Transformers mythos, the Aerial Bots were created by the Autobot scientist Perceptor and were given the ability to transform into jets by the supercomputer Vector Sigma. Silverbolt is the leader of the Aerial Bots and is known for his courage and nobility. He is often portrayed as the noblest and most honorable of the aerial bots and is willing to put himself in danger to protect others. In some versions of the Transformers franchise, Silverbolt is also depicted as having a strong sense of duty and a tendency to follow the rules, which sometimes puts him at odds with his teammates. In the original Transformers animated series, which aired in the 1980s, Silverbolt was one of the main characters and was featured in numerous episodes. In the Marvel Comics universe, Silverbolt is a member of the Aerial Bots, a team of Autobots who can transform into jets. He first appeared in issue number 25 of the Transformers comics, published in December 1985. When the Aerial Bots were created by Optimus Prime, he specifically chose Silverbolt to be their leader. This was because Silverbolt had a strong sense of justice and courage and was always willing to put his own safety aside for the benefit of others. The Aerial Bots were first activated during the battle against Megatron on board the spacecraft known as Takara. They managed to defeat Megatron and save the day, but at great cost. 3 of their number were killed in action. Later on, when Optimus Prime left Earth to deal with a threat from space, he left Ratchet in charge of the Autobots on Earth. Ratchet decided to disband the Aerial Bots, feeling they weren't ready for combat. However, they disobeyed his orders and went off on their own to search for Decepticons who were attacking human settlements. During their battle against the Decepticons, they discovered that they could not harm them without harming innocent humans as well. So instead of fighting them head-on, they used their combined intelligence to trap them inside an energy shield until reinforcements arrived. Ratchet saw how brave and selfless they'd become and allowed them to remain as members of the Autobot forces. In G.I. Joe, Transformers comics, ever since Silverbolt was introduced in 1984, he's had a major role in various Transformers comic books. In some issues, he appears as the main character while he plays a minor role at other times. However, 2 storylines stand out more than any others: The Coming Storm and Revenge of the Fallen. The Coming Storm began with Cobra using stolen Cybertronian technology to create new machines called Terrifies. These creatures were designed to destroy both the Autobots and G.I. Joe team members, which led Silverbolt and other members of the Aerial Bots to become involved once again with Earth affairs. It was during this storyline that Silverbolt met Scarlet, a female member of G.I. Joe, for the first time, something that would develop into later relationships between certain characters within the Marvel Universe. As the story progressed, it eventually led up to the conclusion where Optimus Prime sacrificed himself to make sure Megatron couldn't use energon cubes filled with dark energon, turning everyone back except Bumblebee, who stayed due to his injury, rendering him unconscious for 4 million years. While Revenge of the Fallen didn't focus too much on Silverbolt specifically, he did make several appearances throughout the story arc, most notably when he teamed up with Jetfire, an older Transformer who became disgruntled after seeing how Cybertron had changed since he was last active, to find Sam Witwicky before Lord Starscream could get hold of him. Ostensibly, their goal was to undertake such an act so Primus, the godlike figure for whom all Transformers prayed, would be pleased enough to finally appear and restore order back onto Cybertron, though it was really just an excuse for Jetfire to die happy, knowing that he did something right after feeling like he failed miserably during the events in the film Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen.
Slingshots! Nice shooting, kid. Let's go.
What is so unique about Silverbolt? As an Autobot, Silverbolt has access to a wide range of advanced technological abilities and weapons, including lasers and other energy weapons, as well as various sensors and communications equipment. He is a sentient robot who can alter his physical form from a robotic mode to a vehicle mode and back again. He's also able to fly at high speeds and perform aerial maneuvers, thanks to his jet form. In some versions of the Transformers franchise, Silverbolt is also depicted as having superhuman strength, durability, and agility, which allow him to withstand heavy damage and perform physical feats that would be impossible for a human or other organic being. In addition to his transformation ability, Silverbolt is also a skilled combatant and has advanced strength, durability, and reflexes. He's able to withstand significant damage and is capable of lifting and carrying heavy objects with ease. Silverbolt is also highly intelligent and is skilled in various forms of repair and maintenance, which makes him an asset to the Autobot cause. Since he's often depicted as having a high level of intelligence and technical expertise, he uses it to repair and maintain his own systems and those of his teammates. In addition to his physical abilities, Silverbolt is also known for his courage, nobility, and sense of duty. He's often depicted as a leader among the Autobots and is willing to put himself in danger to protect others and defend the values of the Autobot cause. Please let us know in the comment box below about your thoughts and opinions on this heroic aerial bot leader, and if Silverbolt should ever make a return to the Transformers franchise. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.
Steady.